Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Okay, I'm actually pretty excited about this one. I wanted to let you know that next week, starting on April 8th, 2024, I'm going to be hosting a free 4-day online event for Christian wives of alcoholics called How to Get Off of the Addiction Rollercoaster. If you feel like your life is out of control because of your husband's addiction and you are tired of riding on a roller coaster of chaos, then I want you to come attend this event online. It is going to be so great in helping you reduce the chaos in your life and also reclaiming your power. Because if you're anything like me, when my husband was addicted, you probably feel very powerless and helpless. No more. We're going to address that next week. This is a great place to start if you just aren't sure what to do next, if you feel lost in your own life, if you're tired of just hurting and feeling like you have no one to turn to and you just don't know what to do. This is for you. Please head to marriedtoaddiction.com/rollercoaster where you can register for free right now and join us next Monday, April 8th, 2024. Can't wait to see you there. Hello, and welcome into episode 92 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Today's episode is called What to Do If You're Feeling Stuck. But before we get started here, I want to mention quickly that me recording a podcast or a lesson in the Secret Sister Circle or anything that requires any sort of voice recording summons all of the landscapers within like a 20-mile radius, I swear. I've been trying to record this episode for like the last hour, and first it was one yard being mowed, then it was another yard being mowed. So if there's a lawnmower that starts up in the middle of this episode, we're going to roll with it. And if you can hear it, I apologize in advance, but I got to get this episode done. So yes, today's episode is called What to Do If You're Feeling Stuck. So feeling stuck is a very common feeling for the wife of an alcoholic, as I'm sure you probably already know as having walked this journey yourself. So today we're going to talk about why we feel stuck, where that feeling comes from, and most importantly, what can we do about it? So first of all, why do we feel, quote, stuck as the wife of an alcoholic? There's a few reasons. We may feel like we can't do anything to change our husband's drinking, and that makes us feel stuck. We may feel like we don't have the option to leave because of our kids or our finances or some other reason. That makes us feel stuck. We may feel like we don't want to leave because we still love our husband and we want our marriage to work, but this situation is really difficult right now. And so that makes us feel stuck in a hard situation. You may feel like you're just stuck in a holding pattern because you are just waiting endlessly for him to stop drinking. Do any of those things sound familiar? I know a lot of them did for me back when my husband was addicted. So where exactly do these stuck feelings come from? We tend to think when we feel stuck that it's because there's nothing we can do. But oftentimes that is actually not the case. Often feeling stuck is usually the result of not knowing what to do. So it's usually less that there's truly nothing that you can do and more that you don't really know what to do. The other way that we can feel stuck is by just feeling immobilized. Like maybe there is something you can do, but it just feels way too overwhelming. For me, the feeling of being stuck, anytime I've felt that way in my life, it's so overwhelming and it makes my mind just kind of start to spin. And I feel like I have trouble just getting enough mental traction to even start to begin to formulate a plan, to even like try. It just feels like I just can't get there. It feels like I'll kind of start to entertain one thought and my mind just starts to kind of swirl with overwhelm, and it just feels way too heavy and way too burdensome. And so I just immediately abandon the idea altogether. Can you relate to that? Have you ever had times when you try to start thinking through a situation or thinking through what you could do in a situation, and your mind just starts to spin, and it's just like, okay, no, I can't deal with this right now. I can't think about this right now. I know I've been there a bunch of times. Maybe you start thinking like, well, maybe I could just, and then it's an almost like involuntary mental flight response of like, no, that feels too hard. And then we just move on to something else. So because of all these things, we stay stuck. The worst part about it is that we don't like where we are either. So we don't like the thought of making big changes, or really any changes sometimes, because we're overwhelmed. But we really don't like the status quo. So what in the world do you do to get out of the land of stuck? The answer is that you take small steps. There's a saying that goes something like, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Small steps. Small steps feel much easier because you're doing one tiny thing at a time. Small steps are not big decisions, so that takes the overwhelm out of it and the fear out of it, right? When we're trying to make a big decision, we don't want to make the wrong decision, so we just kind of don't make the decision. Small steps are not that. Small steps are small. They are not big decisions. They are small. They are doable. The good thing is that small steps can still eventually lead to big change over time, but minus the overwhelm, because you're doing just a little thing now and a little thing, a week from now, or whatever it looks like for you. And another great thing about it is, as you start to take small steps towards moving forward, you will begin to find that the next steps start unfolding in front of you, especially if you are taking small steps in partnership with God. And this is biblical, of course. He doesn't give us the whole map of our life, right? That is by design, because it would probably freak us completely out. And he wants us to stay in partnership with him as we move through our life. So we don't know what's around the bend. But if you are taking small steps in partnership with God, you will find that if you just take one step forward, then it'll become clear, or clearer. Okay, now the next step looks like this. And now the next step beyond that looks like it's probably this, because now you're moving forward. Have you ever heard the saying that a body in motion stays in motion and a body at rest stays at rest? It's usually used, I think, for like exercise. Once you've started an exercise plan, it's easier to stay with it than to start it in the first place. Ain't that the truth? But the same concept applies here, because the only thing that is really keeping you stuck is that you're not doing anything, right? You're not doing anything, so you're stuck. But how, especially in a difficult situation like this, how do you begin to take even small steps when you feel like you don't even know what in the world to do next? I remember laying in bed so many times, wide awake in the middle of the night when my husband was addicted, just thinking, what do I do? What do I do? I'm out of ideas. I've tried everything I know to try. Nothing is changing. Nothing is working. Nothing is helping. What do I do? That can also be overwhelm, massive overwhelm, right? And that for sure keeps you stuck, because you're definitely not doing anything because you don't know what to do. So as the wife of an alcoholic, when you're in a place where you feel stuck and you don't know what in the world to do next, what small steps can you take? Good news. I have outlined some of those for you in a free event that I am hosting next week from April 8th to April 11th. It's completely online. Now, I want to say a quick PS here. If you are listening to this episode after that date, please head to my website for other free resources that can also help you take small steps. But for those of you who are listening prior to this free online event, I want you to head as soon as you're done with this podcast episode, or now, if you can do it at the same time safely. Don't do it when you're driving, obviously. But I want you to head to marriedtoaddiction.com/rollercoaster. I'm going to put this link in the show notes for you as well. Why is it /rollercoaster? Because the event is called How to Get Off of the Addiction Rollercoaster. That is what being stuck feels like, right? We are on this roller coaster. We hate it. It's the worst roller coaster ever. It's constantly like stressing us out, but we don't know how to get off of it. This event will help you. It is a 4-day online event that will help Christian wives of alcoholics reduce the chaos in their lives and reclaim their power. I want you to catch that word power, because feeling empowered is the opposite of feeling stuck. So if you can relate to anything that I've talked about today about feeling stuck or any of that, please go register for this free event. Again, it's at marriedtoaddiction.com/rollercoaster. Starts next Monday, April 8th. But no matter when you're listening to this, whether you are listening to it in time to be a part of the event next week or even afterwards, if you are feeling stuck today, I encourage you to seek out some small steps that you can take beginning right now. Maybe you can start just by writing down some little things that you know could help you, but you just haven't pulled the trigger on them yet, or you've just felt overwhelmed even just to do a small thing. You can muster the courage, pray about it first if you need to. You can muster the courage to do one small thing, right? Maybe you just need to get some household help. Maybe you're completely overwhelmed by life in general and you need to get some help around the house. Maybe you need to join a support group. Something local, something online. Of course, a Secret Sister Circle is available if you want to take that route, but maybe even just doing that. You haven't done it yet. You feel like you are supposed to do it, but you haven't done it yet. Maybe just do one meeting or sign up for one thing. Maybe your small step could be enrolling in an online course because you have always wanted to go back to school. Now, that may not feel like a small step to you, but I want you to look at the small step as being just opening your browser, going to the website, and clicking the enroll button and entering your information. So stop taking all of the rest of it into consideration. You know it's something you want to do. You know you want to go back to school for this thing, or you know you want to get a certification in whatever it is. The small step is not going back to school, right? That's a big step. That's a lot to think of out in the future. The small step is just going on the computer and clicking sign up. That's a small step. Okay. But whatever it is, whatever you can think of, and it might even be way, way, way smaller than any of the things that I have talked about. Maybe your small step is going outside today, putting your feet in the grass for 10 minutes and breathing in some fresh air. Maybe your small step is taking a walk around the block. Whatever it is, start small, start today, keep going with these small steps. Because as you do that, the next small step will unfold in front of you and you will be on your way towards getting unstuck. So if there's still time, be sure to register for my free event, How to Get Off of the Addiction Rollercoaster. Again, the link is marriedtoaddiction.com/rollercoaster. The link is also in the show notes. But if you can't do that, seek out another small step that you can take, or just head to my website and look for another resource that can help you just take one small step. Maybe your small step today is just signing up for the free event. Maybe it's just signing up for another resource on my website. Just take a small step today. I hope that's been helpful for you. I will see you next time. Hey, one more quick thing before I let you go today. Do you follow Married to Addiction on either Instagram or Facebook, or both? If not, I would love to have you join me over there. It's a great place to stay connected with everything that's happening with Married to Addiction. I post updates about my podcast episodes, of course. I post about my freebies. I post about my programs. I post encouragement in the way of Bible verses and things like that. I also post just some helpful little teaching nuggets sometimes too. So I really think that you would get a lot of value out of that as the wife of an alcoholic, and I would love to have you join me on either Facebook or Instagram, or both. You can find me at facebook.com/married to addiction or just at married to addiction on Instagram. I hope to see you there.